Alright, let's continue to talk about the carryover checklist. So basically, you can't just calculate your this year's return by just basing on this year's data. You need to worry about what happened before that. Okay? So that's the word carryover. Come on, you carry something over to this year. Okay? So for AMT credits, AMT credits, I already talked about this extensively. So if you did not understand this, you can check my other video. Okay. So basically, AMT is just like the difference between the regular tax system as well as the AMT system. So basically, if general rule of thumb, right? If you pay AMT in the prior year, right, sometimes you get to take that back. Okay. Sometimes, remember. A lot of things that you can't take back. Okay, so yeah, I think most of my clients, most of the time, they're going to under the scenario of like using the like exercising some like incentive stock options, right? And if you exercise that, it's an AMT, a typical AMT trigger, and so basically you're going to pay the AMT. Tax, and then you generate the AMT credit. Okay, so for example, this year, even though you did not have any, say, incentive stock options and all that involved, you know what? You need to check your prior years when you exercise incentive stock options. Then you can sort of use that, right? So you calculate this year's. Let me just write it down for you. So basically, you are going to previously you pay something like AMT, right? You already pay, and this is like a prior year, maybe which just a few years before, right? But remember, the AMT credits most of the time it will not expire. So if you make a certain condition, you can just use that credit. Okay, you just leave it here, but you just need to remember to use it. Okay. And say this year, when you actually calculate the return, right? And this credit is carried forward. Remember, it's AMT credit. It's carried forward all the way to this year. So you have to use this year's AMT credit. And for example, you paid say $5,000 in 2023, right? And for example, as I'm recording this video, it's 2025, right? So if you calculate your tax and the 2025, and your regular tax, there is a regular tax, and before you actually say, hey, I'm like going to for the AMT, you're going to calculate an intermediate, the tentative, right? Tentative minimum tax, so TMT. Okay, so you're going to compare your regular tax with the TMT, because it's like TMT is like what if scenario. What if I'm qualified or I'm being classified as an AMT? Okay, so there's a what if scenario. You calculate that number, right? The regular tax and TMT, the tentative minimum tax, you compare these two, and if your regular tax is bigger than the TMT, okay, and there is a form called 8801, okay, and remember, say you got this $5,000, and you carry to this year, and you can just fill that in the form 8801 to use that credits, okay. And if there is still remainder, that's very good. You can just carry all that remained, continue forward, okay. And you know what? Once you carry that forwards, and that forward year, you also need to consider what's been carried. So it's like a chain reaction. Every year is connected. As I said, for the tax return, it's like take a snapshot, a series of snapshots of a timeline of that person's economic life. You're going to, you can't just say, hey, a snapshot, I cut it, and then I just get all this information from that person, and then that's enough. You need to get all sort of a time related data, right? So like time data, and you use all these snapshots of data to sort of infer what will happen at this year. What's the connected? What's the carryover? Right? So yeah, that's the AMT credit.